Welcome into the DePaud, a DePaul Hoops podcast brought to you by 199.com. Basketball historians bringing history to life with retro DePaul basketball gear to make you feel like Aguirre in 1979. Go check them out today at 199.com and grab some of that retro DePaul basketball gear today. On today's episode, we've got the head coach of your DePaul Blue Demons, Coach Tony Stubblefield. We sit down with him and talk about this upcoming season a little bit, how this offseason has gone for him, and so much more. We also caused a ruckus. The DePaul fans have caused a ruckus for Louisville. We'll get more into that just after this. Welcome into the DePaud, a DePaul Hoops podcast brought to you by 199.com. Thanks for joining me, Blue Demon Nation, and thanks again for listening in to that last episode with our interview with Marty Embry from the mid-1980s basketball teams. If you haven't already done so, go check out his website, fromthecourttothekitchen.com. It was also really nice to sit down and talk with Dalton from the Blue Demon Report to recap some of the off-season happenings. Looking forward to doing more with him as this podcast grows. Speaking to that growth, I'm looking forward to building a new collaboration partner with wearedepaul.com from the 24/7 Sports Network. They have everything. If you're not familiar, they have everything from following recruiting to message boards and other articles as it pertains to, generally speaking, men's and women's basketball. Really good stuff over there. If you haven't checked it out already, go to wearedepaul.com on the 24/7 Sports Network. And looking forward to doing more and collaborating more with the guys over there as I grow as a podcast and as we build more following. That said, really interesting events happened after We Are DePaul tweeted this out. Just talked with Coach Stubbs. The DePaul versus Louisville game scheduled for this year at Wintrust has been postponed to the 2023-2024 season at the request of U of L coach Kenny Payne. Stubbs is looking for a replacement home game. That was from We Are DePaul's Twitter account. They reported that a couple days ago. And then Mike Rutherford from Big X Sports, Card Chronicle, better known as the DePaul Day guy, probably one of our least favorite in the fan base. He and his, co-host, Trevor, I'm not sure his last name, but DePaul Fans took over their show on Big X Sports Radio after We Are DePaul reported that. And basically, this is what happened.
All right, we have a major development here. DePaul fans have taken over the text line.
They're so angry.
I thought this was like a little blip. Like I didn't think it was even worth getting into. And I'm somebody who loves talking about DePaul, but the fact that Louisville has, because we hadn't heard anything about the return game. Jeff Greer has written about this in his newsletter a couple of times, so we all just sort of assumed that it was going to be pushed back or whatever. They're not going to play the game this year because we have a pretty loaded schedule already. And I didn't think anything of it. I thought, we'll play them next year. They get to enjoy their victory for another year. Good for them. And they are beyond upset that Louisville has, according to their reporting from out of Chicago, Kenny Payne is the one who's asked for this game to be pushed back to the 2023-2024
For
season.
the record, not canceled.
Not canceled, just pushed back. This happens all the time. We've had schools do this to us. We've done this. I think we did it to Western Kentucky a few years ago. It just this stuff happens in college sports. But they are insanely upset about it. They've already made posters about Kenny Payne.
The missing person.
And now they're texting the text line.
I want to give, other than the Twitter name is DePaud, which is pretty stupid.
No, I don't hate it.
Yeah, I do. I'm not a big fan of the Twitter handle, but I do like the poster. I think that was funny.
It's good.
I know it's not original. It's been done before, but it's still a pretty funny thing to do.
I like it. It was,
which is why you retweeted it. You know, even when it's a shot at you, you got to respect a good one, right?
Was due at Wintrust Arena and hasn't shown up.
Yes.
when DePaul Day was killed forever, when that happened, I always knew that this was a possibility.
Oh, it's going to be resurrected like Jesus.
It's not. It's done. It's dead. But so when I was just getting, everything on my timeline, just all of these people saying the worst things imaginable about me, it just every direction. I mean, what can you do in that situation? I was like, yeah, I deserve all of this. Like, Texture says, DePaul owns U of L, rudder turd. Tell the babbling idiot to shut up.
Wait, am I the babbling idiot?
I don't know, maybe. At Trevor Kelsey, DePaul fans.
You know what's sad?
Texture says Mike Nutt.
Is you DePaul fans, I'm willing to bet I know more about your basketball program than you.
So you listen to that. You listen to, the sadness in Mike's voice. He can't write his beloved DePaul Day article anymore. It's dead. He said it himself. It's dead. But he did write one time, for some time, I had danced around the idea that it was somehow impossible for Louisville to lose to DePaul in basketball. I embraced the notion fully for the first time in 1999. Man, Mike, poetic, beautiful, Pulitzer Prize winning. I don't know what the Card Chronicle is going to do now that you can't just mail in that article every year. It's dead. But then there's Trevor, who thinks that anyone cares what his opinion is. He doesn't like the DePaud as a handle. Okay, dude. But you know what I don't like, and what I take exception with is Trevor talking about how he thinks that he knows more about our program than our fans. Trevor, I don't know how we'd measure this, but I challenge you to we'll call it a DePaul off. And I win, name the prize. But if you win, Mike could have his beautiful, beloved DePaul Day back. That is, if Louisville ever beats DePaul again in basketball. The best part about this is they weren't even talking about basketball. They were talking about football prior to this clip. And we just derailed the show for a little bit. And it's good to see all of these DePaul fans joining together and just completely derailing just a random, Tuesday radio show in Louisville. It's a good time. That said, I mean, obviously now there's some work to do. We still are waiting on who our opponent is for the Gavitt games. We know we've got Northwestern. We know we've got Duquesne. We know we've got the Baha Mar Invitational, where I think there's Oregon State there and a couple others. So there's still some work to be done with the schedule and building that out, and looking forward to what comes of that and how the schedule shakes out. It seems like we're on the right track with our strength of schedule and our non-conference. We've also got, of course, Buzz Williams and Texas A&M coming. That was just announced late last week. So looking forward to the different opponents that are coming to Chicago, looking forward to who we're playing at their homes. Talking to Stubbs, there wasn't much of schedule talk involved, but there was a lot of, how the players are developing and how they're getting along together. So that said, really glad I got to sit down with Coach and talk to him about how this offseason's gone and looking forward into next season. So without further ado, please enjoy my interview with Coach Tony Stubblefield. All right, welcome in today, Coach Tony Stubblefield of your DePaul Blue Demons. Thank you for joining me today, Coach. How are you doing?
Doing great. Trying to stay cool. It's been a hot couple of days, but it's going good.
Yeah, certainly. And it's been a busy summer for you all, too, up there in Lincoln Park. How's the offseason gone for you?
Obviously, it's been a very, very busy offseason, just from a recruiting standpoint of trying to build this roster. So been on the road quite a bit in April. Wasn't much in May. Had a lot of kids in on visits in May. But back on the road last weekend, to be back on the road this weekend. We have our basketball camp that just started on Monday, and our new guys just got in about a week and a half ago for our first summer school session. So it's been a fairly busy off season over this way.
Yeah, it's been nice to see just through social media channels and everything, all the guys coming in and on campus, interacting with maybe some future DePaul Blue Demons in that camp. As we talk about the roster, and it's as deep and as athletic that you've built, that I can remember from recent history. How will that translate to the style of basketball that you all play this year?
Well, just from a depth standpoint, I think it really helps us in how I want to play and how I want to build the program and our style of play, of being able to get up and down, changing defenses, being able to press some, really getting up and dictating things from a defensive standpoint and getting out in transition. You need numbers to be able to do those things, to play as hard as we're going to need to play to be successful. So I definitely think it's going to help us. Obviously, last year we were short on numbers. There was a couple games there when we only had 7 scholarship guys. So, that made it difficult. It really made it difficult to practice and be able to get better because in the back of your mind, you just were trying to keep the guys healthy. And we had some injuries last year that really hurt us. So from a depth standpoint, I'm really excited about our guys and what they bring to the table.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of older upperclassmen too that have joined us this year from Mo Gibson, and obviously we still have Javon Johnson. Do you really look to those two guys as being the field generals out on the court?
Well, with Javen, obviously, he's an older guy. He was in the Big 12 when he was at Iowa State. We had him here last year. Unfortunately, he didn't get here until Christmas. And then we had the COVID pause, and then he got hurt after about 5 or 6 games. So, just as he was really starting to get his feet up underneath him, he has that injury. But just his experience, I think, is really going to be able to help us. Obviously, a guy like Mo Gibson, who's had success in the Big 12 Conference at Oklahoma, played for some very good coaches in Lon Kruger, Porter Mosier. He's played in front of 15,000 at Allen Fieldhouse. He's played in tough, hostile environments going on the road to Texas Tech. So, just from them guys from an experience standpoint, I think that's really going to bring a lot of value to our team.
Yeah, and, it's very obvious and very apparent that you all have put a lot of focus on more efficient shooting as well into this offseason, I should say. So with that said, what is the offensive philosophy for this iteration of a Tony Stubblefield basketball team?
Well, I never think you can have enough shooters on that floor. Just the three-point shot and just how it really has affected the game. To really be able to space the floor, the better shooters you have out there, the more you can space the floor, and it gives more room for the big guys underneath to operate. But really a team that's going to get out and transition, push the basketball, make plays for one another, make the extra pass. That's what we're really looking for, to be more efficient offensively, less turnovers, having good possessions from an offensive standpoint. A lot of these games come down to possessions. It's 2 or 3, 4 possession game, last 4 or 5 minutes of a game, and you got to get the shot you want from an offensive standpoint. So a team that can really push the pace, get out, but at the same time making the extra pass, the right basketball play, sharing the basketball and playing together. So, really you need shooters out there to be able to space that floor. So the more shooters you have out there, the more of a threat you are.
Oh, absolutely. And two, I mean, you mentioned it there, bounce here or there. Last year could have landed our team in the middle of the Big East and maybe talking about a run in the tournament. Go ahead. Sorry.
It keeps me awake at night because, again, we have 6 Big East wins when realistically we could have had 9 to 11 Big East wins. I'm not afraid to say it. We should have won the game here against Xavier. We let that game get away. Should have won the game here against Butler. I think we had very winnable games on the road at Providence, losing there in overtime, and at Seton Hall, losing there in overtime. So, you get them 6 wins. If you get to 10, 11 wins in the Big East, you're going to postseason play.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, we talk about the Big East and how competitive it is. This year it's gotten even more competitive, but I feel like this team that you and your staff has assembled has really has taken another step. And so that said, what does success look like in year 2 for you?
I can't necessarily put it in amount of wins, or I'm not going to sit here and say the NCAA tournament, but we got to make a step and take a step in the right direction. I think we did a good job of doing that last year, of laying the foundation. Now we need to take another step with our program. But I do think we got some pieces that are returning, some pieces that we have coming in that can help us do that. And again, we're trying to do that in one of the best basketball conferences in the country, in the Big East. A team that had 6 out of 11 teams in the league go to the NCAA tournament. So just coming together as a team. Obviously, we got a lot of new faces, so that's going to be important this summer. of building that team camaraderie of, just guys that haven't played together with one another. So just really all trying to get on the same page from that standpoint and just taking a step in the right direction from where we left off at this year.
So, you mentioned many new faces, obviously, with Mo Gibson we've talked about, and Caleb Murphy. How do you see Caleb Murphy and Mo Gibson complementing each other on the court this year?
Well, I think they definitely can play together. I think they complement each other extremely well. Obviously, Mo Gibson is known as a knockdown shooter who's been very efficient from the three-point line. Caleb Murphy is known for, a great mid-range game, a great athlete, being able to get to the rim. So I definitely think they complement each other from that standpoint. But more so than that, you're talking about older guys, experienced guys that have played at a high level. And on top of that, talented players. At the end of the day, you got to have talented guys that can go out there and get the job done. But them guys are guys that we're looking forward to and expecting big things out of. And then with the guys we have returning, and Jalen Terry, who got great experience last year, Ahmad Bynum, who we got coming in, just being able to practice with us last year, just being there and going through those practices, and now being able to play and knowing he's going to be able to play. I think that takes a weight of the world off of him.
A lot of pressure, yeah. Yeah, no, that pressure off of him probably will help him definitely excel and grow, right, as a player. Jalen Terry, and it's nice to have Angenda back too, but how important is that to have those building blocks of the roster back? Guys that already have had a year in your program and a year in your type of play. How does that help and add to the building blocks of success that we talk about?
I think it helps tremendously because they were part of it last year. So they know what we're trying to do from an offensive standpoint, from a defensive standpoint, the culture that we're trying to build here at DePaul. They know what it's like to go on the road and play in a hostile environment at Villanova, at UConn. So they've experienced those things. They know how physical the Big East League is. So just from that standpoint, they know me as a coach, the intensity and how hard that you got to play and how focused you got to be day in and day out to get better. And that's the thing. You got to come to practice and be focused and ready to practice and get better day in and day out. But a lot of that comes with the work that you have to put in the summer, in the weight room, from a strength and conditioning standpoint, of being in the best shape that we can be in. And again, the best teams are the best player-driven teams. You as a coach, you're coaching as hard as you can. You're building that team camaraderie, but it needs to be player-driven as well. When you get that, you got a chance to be very successful, and I think that's what Providence really had last year.
Yeah, and speaking to that camaraderie and building teams from transfer portals and all the different outlets, how does that the current collegiate athletic climate, how has that affected your approach to recruiting, to building your roster?
A lot has changed over the last year. I think what you're going to see, is there's going to be some turnover year in and year out on some of these rosters, where it's not going to be uncommon to have to go out and sign 4 or 5 guys, sometimes in a given year. But the main guys are the guys that we have on our current roster. Recruiting is obviously very important, but it's very important that we recruit our guys that are currently here and make them know that they're wanted and needed here at DePaul. At the same time, going out and recruiting other guys as well. But the landscape has changed with the transfer portal, young men being able to leave and be eligible immediately. NIL has changed some things. So it's evolving a lot in college basketball, but it's a great business to be in. I enjoy it, and we'll be just fine with it.
Yeah, and I think already you've proven that you're figuring it out. You've figured it out how to navigate through it, and I think it's really nice to see the roster has shaken out this year. We said camaraderie a couple times, and that's come up. How important is it to already have these guys on campus? Already, they're spending their time right now. They're with the Blue Demon basketball camp that's going on at McGrath. How important is it to those late game situations to already have them collaborating and becoming more cohesive together right now?
I think it's very important. I think the summertime is when you can really make a jump from a player standpoint of getting better in the weight room, individual development on the court, working with our guys, and then even our team workouts of playing with one another. Because, again, they're all trying to get familiar with each other's games, the strengths and weaknesses of each other. So the more that we can play together, the workouts, I think that's going to help us during the course of the year.
We talk about late game situations with from last season to this season. We hope we're not in those close games, but it's the Big East, and that's the reality. Obviously, goes without saying, every game at this level is a big game. Is there a game, or are there a couple of games that you've already circled on the schedule that you just really want from a competitor and from a coaching standpoint?
Every game is a big game, and we take them one game at a time. You can't look past anybody at this level. So I'm just very forward to the first game of the year. After that game, I'm looking forward to the next game. And again, at this level, you can't bypass anybody. You can't overlook anybody. You just got to take them one at a time. And our motto is, we just got to get better every day we step out on that floor, from a practice standpoint, from a game standpoint, and, watching film, doing whatever it takes for us to get better as a team.
From that team perspective too, you've talked before about you like to switch up defenses. Are we gonna, with this current team, are we gonna see more press, more man-to-man or zone? I know you like to kind of go back and forth throughout the game as the game flows. What's your expectation going into this year?
Again, I would like to get out and pressure more defensively, even from a pressing standpoint. And I think we'll be able to do that with the depth that we'll have, that we'll be able to extend our defense a little bit more, pressing, changing defenses, really getting up in passing lanes, and hopefully getting some offensive, points from our defense. So just being able to get up and create some turnovers, kind of playing, creating a little havoc out there on that court and picking up the pace a little bit just from our defensive pressure and our defensive intensity.
You see those types of teams that are pressing, that are constantly putting pressure, they look like they get the other team off balance, off guard, off their game. And I think that last year we saw it a lot with what you all did. And I think with our guys that we have now, I could see that pressure mounting even more and growing. That said, I kind of want to switch gears a little bit here to more of what's your message to the fans? What you've got their ear right now. What do you want to tell Blue Demon Nation?
Well, we got great fans here in Chicago. We got great fans at DePaul, and I just want to tell them to be patient with us. We're working extremely hard, tirelessly every day to get there, and we're going to get there. We're going to get this program turned around and going in the right direction. But it's just like anything else. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a little bit of time. And obviously, we're in a great league, but we're going to recruit extremely hard. We're going to work hard to get these guys better on and off the floor. Player development is something that we take great pride in, and getting guys better. And we're going to get there. We're going to bring this program back, and I just want them to stick with us, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that I can echo that from the perspective of having sitting down and talk with Dwayne, and just seeing what you guys are building, and it's very exciting where the program's going. I think there's a lot of buzz in the fan base that hasn't been there in recent history. That said, I think you've won over a lot of people already, to the point where there's some people out there that have made, I don't know if I know you're on Twitter, but I don't know how often you're on Twitter, but they've made some memes of you, and I'm going to show it to you just to see. I want to kind of get your reaction. There's sorry.
You know what? My daughter showed me that one day. You did.
Oh, really? Yeah. And then there's one more. Apparently, you've got. I didn't know this, but you've got your own line of barbecue sauce too.
I wish that was my line.
So. So yeah, no, I think the fans really enjoy the product that you've put on the floor, and I think that's a testament to the hard work that you all put in as a coaching staff and as a team. And obviously, there's those fun things that come of successes that there's a whole numerous. I could show you more, but I don't want to. I'm sure at this point they'll cross your path. But thanks again, Coach, and I'm looking forward to getting together with you a little bit more often as the season progresses, and talk again soon. So
thanks a lot,
again.
John. I appreciate you having me. All right, thank you.
All right, talk to you. What better way to finish that conversation with Coach Stubblefield than to show him those two memes of himself generated from the DePaul fan Twitterverse. But the rest of our conversation, I mean, you could hear it in his voice. He's instilling the culture of winning, and he said it. It's not done overnight. It's a brick by brick by brick process. And between him, Dwayne Peavy, it's just a breath of fresh air. I know I've said this before, but it's refreshing. I went to them a couple months ago at this point. Time's flying, but I went to them a couple months ago, and I said, I'm starting this podcast. A couple of you people know me still from my time there, which was a lot longer ago than I thought. And they said, sure, yeah. Let me just find a spot in Dwayne Peavy's schedule, and we'll get you guys together and link you guys up. And now to Coach Stubblefield too, they were eager to get him on, and it's refreshing to have this openness from the athletic department, something that we haven't had in a long, long time. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful for this opportunity, the trust that they have in me to present this to Blue Demon Nation, and I'm really looking forward to building this, like I've said time and time again, but it's been really fun so far, and I know it's going to be a lot more fun as time goes on to put this all together and to build this, but there's a lot of positivity around the program. That said, looking towards next season, and right now, we'll close up with this, but right now we've got Loyola. They're 29 on Ken Palm. Northwestern, we're at Loyola, at Northwestern, 87 on Ken Palm for Northwestern. Santa Clara's at 76. That's in the Baja Mar Invitational. Then there's Central Florida or Oklahoma State. Obviously, let's take Oklahoma State over Central Florida. Oklahoma State's a 34. Central Florida's a 104. And then Texas A&M, 33. And then, of course, Duquesne. And then now there's a Gavitt game that's to be determined. But there's also, obviously, now to replace that Louisville game as well. So where we're at with this men's basketball schedule non-conference-wise versus last year, there should be a lot more challenges, a lot more opportunity to shine. And I think that Coach Stubblefield will have the team ready and prepared to close out those close games and lead us hopefully into the postseason for a long run. So that said, until next time, Blue Demon Nation, go Blue Demons.